What's up, everybody? Happy New Year. Welcome back. It's 2025. And today we're going to kick off the podcast with our first event of the year, which we do pretty much every year. I think we had a year off for COVID. But every year for the past 5 years, I think we've started our year off with the Erg Sprints. So it's such a simple event, like a lot of stuff you do takes all day. But the Erg Sprints, doesn't really take that long. The most you're going to be working out for is about 10 minutes. So that's why it's such a great event. And I think Alec will be joining us shortly. I think I see him on here. So let's try and bring him in. Hey, Alec.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I just can't see you. So there he is. Nice. I found a photo of you from the Georgia Tech website that I put on with the mustache. I was hoping you'd still have.
I'm sorry. It's only usually a spring thing, so I'll start growing it sometime about now. So
Okay, I do the mustache just in November, so I'm only allowed it. My wife only allows it for a month, so that's my time of year for the mustache. But that was a great mustache you got going on. So
appreciate that.
How you doing? Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Yeah, I'm doing well. Spent a lot of time with family, hung around the house. Did actually some working out on the erg over the past couple months or so.
Awesome. Yeah, I was gonna say, is that your workout of choice? Is on the erg still? Or
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
A lot of it because it's so easy on the knees and the hips and
Yeah.
shoulders. And it's full body. It's one of those I can just sit, pull for an hour, and then hop off and be done for all of it. Did my check
Yeah.
off that box.
What are some injuries that rowers get? What is it hard on?
Yeah. When it's extremely, when you're really extremely getting after it, usually the things that start going first are the lower back. If there's over compression, then it's in the hips will start to injure a bit.
Mm-hmm.
When you're rowing in a boat, there's two different types of boats: sweep and sculling. Sculling is where you have like one oar in each hand, and so therefore it's very symmetrical. But with sweep rowing, you have one oar that you're holding with both hands, and you're usually devoted to one side. So therefore, you start getting a little bit of asymmetry on which muscles you're working out. And so there sometimes we'll try to do some rehab of forcing rowers onto other sides to fix that asymmetry. But yeah.
Cool. And you so a lot of lower back. So do you do a lot of like just strengthen up the lower back to work on that? Is that?
Yeah, some of it is technique and making sure that if I'm doing like a long, steady state type of piece, there is also the drag factor that can be adjusted on the erg. So usually, rowers usually keep it around a concept 2, around a 3 or 4 on that setting by the fan wheel. If you use like the PM5 monitor, it's usually like a drag factor about like 115 or so.
Okay.
So keeping that drag factor lower kind of helps alleviate some of that pressure on the lower back, and then the technique. Most rowers will have that same technique of driving with those legs, keeping that lower back flat as if you're doing a little deadlift.
Mm-hmm. That's a funny thing we talk when we can get into some of that stuff. But you're someone that you rowed at Georgia Tech, is that correct?
Yeah.
Cool. And I find I meet college rowers a lot. Like a lot of college rowers come and start doing functional training group classes, and because we're all a little bit sick in the head, right? We like to go to them pain caves a lot of time.
Get together and find like-minded people like that for sure.
Yeah, but with rowers, I've found they either are like you, they still love it, or they hate it, and they like don't want to get on the rower. They just don't want to see a concept 2 rower. There's rarely people that are like in the middle, right? It's like, oh yeah, I rode in college. I love the rower. Let me tell you all about it. Or there's the people like, I rode in college. I'm not touching that thing. And then like we say, Erg Sprints coming up, no chance. No, I'm not. Hey, leave me alone. You know? Why do you think it's like a love hate?
Yeah, I definitely understand that for sure. And it's a lot of it is just like, yeah, like feeling that constant feedback, and then that struggle of you wanting to get faster, and sometimes you just can't. That's sometimes that obstacle is either something that drives somebody forward, or it starts beating them down to the point where they just want to, step away and find other things that they can, improve upon. And sometimes that is the solution of, find the alternative that still progresses you forward towards your goals. Uh, for me, I mean, I was never really, I mean, relatively fast, but there was definitely a period when I first started that um, I was always in like the middle end of the middle portion of that pack with all the rowers around me. And it wasn't until like near my like last year or two of rowing collegiately, where my coach started. We had like a new coach at the time, Mike Gibble, where he actually like kind of gave me a little bit better perspective on rowing. The idea that it's sometimes just doing somewhat the same workouts and seeing that growth and that speed gain kind of helps feed that proper mental approach of like, okay, get that endorphin rush of seeing that improvement. Because some coaches they'll try to jump around and do slightly different workouts throughout the season, and sure enough, that is important in the sense of like um, not getting you uh, bored of the workout. But I guess just for my mental approach of things, it was helpful to be at least one or two workouts a week that were the same, so I can then see that progression.
Right.
And I started gaining a little bit more speed there, and then sure enough, got cut short with just that was the end of my collegiate rowing career. But that's still kind of the approach that I take. I've started like working out recently, where let me just try to do the same workouts, see that growth, kind of wait for that plateau of, all right, now my muscles are used to that. All right, now let's do some shock treatment, and then get back to gaining that new speed with the same workouts.
What is your favorite rowing workout? What's your go-to? Like it's
Uh,
New Year's Day, you're like, all right, let me shake off the rust. What do you like to do?
yeah, well, if there's a lot of rust, I mean, I just sit and pull for an hour,
Holy cow.
um,
Okay.
and I hook up a heart rate monitor, and to me, like that's, I'll pop on a TV show or something, but I keep track of that heart rate the entire time. Um, and you know, I, maybe it's some of my stupidity, but I'm able to just, you know, enjoy that monotony.
Mhm.
And then like when it comes to if I'm like if I've been working out consistently and I want to feel a bit more pain, then typically 4 by 10 minutes
Okay.
is one of those excruciating ones that,
And you're going just for distance on that?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, try to be and like try to hit mostly the same splits all throughout those four pieces.
Mhm.
Um,
What would a 10-minute split look like?
uh, um, that's going to very much depend on what you are, like where
Yeah.
you are around stuff. Um, honestly, I'm not good with numbers
Okay.
in the sense of,
The only one I really know is like the 500-meter one, right? So it's like a 155 or like a 2-minute. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
per 500.
yeah. And so, I mean, 4 by 10 minutes. Um, usually, I guess whatever you can do on like a 5K piece or 6K piece, if you're able to maintain that, um, that's like very, very good.
Mhm.
So you usually try to see it in comparisons of where you are, right? Like throughout other pieces.
So what kind of distance will you cover in 10 minutes?
Um, let's see. Yeah, I mean, about a little more than like 2K. So usually maybe like if you're getting close to that 3,000 meters,
Yeah.
that's like
pushing it. Yeah.
Very good, yeah.
And
So,
then how long are you taking off in that hint? So it's 4 10-minute intervals.
mhm.
How many minutes are you off? So you're on for 10.
Yeah, on for 10. I mean, usually take off for like 3 to 4 minutes.
Okay. Kind of feel fully recovered almost, just
Yeah.
breathing wise. And then
Sometimes I try to toggle around a little bit of maybe not doing minutes of rest, but tracking my heart rate during that rest and seeing, well, is the heart rate going to tell me when is the appropriate time to start back?
hmm,
Especially as I start getting a little bit older. Some of those like rules of thumb that we may have done when I was younger, like
yeah.
probably start going out the window. Um, and so trying to be mindful of some things change and being okay with that and
Yeah.
let the heart rate just kind of tell me where I'm at.
Do you do a lot? Are you're still one of the assistant coaches at Georgia Tech? Okay. And do you guys use a lot of heart rate monitors in their training? And is that something that people use a lot?
We're mindful of not everybody's able to get a heart rate monitor, but a lot of times, most of our workouts, or if not all of them, we'll give them uh, ranges for the heart rate that we speak in terms of like utilization, transportation type workouts, or
Hmm.
anaerobic thresholds.
Cool.
And so that then tells them, all right, if I do have a heart rate monitor, I can start adjusting to that. And a big thing too is many times we tell them to, hey, here's your 6 workouts a week, once a day for the one day off. But in addition to those, formalized practices, we expect you to also put in additional meters.
Mm,
And so those additional ones should always be lower heart rates. Helps with recovery, but also helps keeping that heart rate pumping.
yeah.
Um,
And are you
and
giving them zones to work in there or yeah.
so, yeah,
Okay. Cool. And I imagine being a Georgia Tech rowing team, they probably like the data, right? So it's not
uh,
yeah, cool.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
Nice.
so those, and I like, of course, there's like, I always call it the Jensen, uh, like, it's like the Jensen power curve. I think there's some coach named Coach Jensen. He
Okay.
worked with a lot of like national team rowers, and like would monitor their progression throughout like all the way throughout the year, do multiple tests, and those tests being like 2,000 meters, 6,000 meters, an hour piece.
Mhm.
Here's a 30 seconds test. There's just like 20-second test. And then see, and he would like plot the curve and notice that like on average, all of these, elite athletes all had a very similar curve so that you can in essence estimate, if they pulled a 6,000 meter piece, what their 2,000 meter piece would be. Um, and then like basically if you just do a similar test of that to yourself,
Mhm.
you can kind of see where your weaknesses are. And in most cases, at least for our athletes, the issue tends to be those longer steady state pieces tend to be not as strong. And those are just the ones that take, you know, many months to build up, if not years. Um, and it is like kind of that foundation. So seeing that approach of, you need that long um, aerobic base to build off of. Um, that's
Yeah.
always fascinating to see in
Yeah,
teaching.
and for you guys, there's no river running right through town. So, like, you're probably on the Ergs quite a lot, right? So, having that data is one of the positives, but obviously, your goal is to get on the water and see what you can do, right? So, yeah, it's interesting. So, I for I kind of don't really mind the rower, but don't like I'm one of the people that I didn't do college rowing. I rarely used a rower till I found like CrossFit and functional training. So I don't really have a love or a hate. I don't mind it. But I heard one of my favorite quotes about the rower was that, and I couldn't find who said it, but a 2K row is the ultimate lie detector test, and that's one of my favorite quotes because yeah, I'm scared of a 2K row. I'm scared of a 1K row. I'm scared of a 500-meter row. They all hurt just as bad if you do them right,
Mhm.
and they you can't I do you I see it more like, when you meet people like in lifting and they're like, "What do you bench?" and everybody lies. I feel like it's probably the same in rowing, right? Like hey, what's your 2K row time? And you rarely are going to get the exact answer, I bet. From a lot of people, it's like, oh, that's like a big, like, this is what I can do a 2K in. And for me, like,
Hmm.
I see like a 7-minute 2K as very impressive, right? Like anything sub 7 for me is like, wow, like you're in great shape. And if you're not like a college rower, I know that you also have a lot of mental toughness, because no matter what, you have to go to a certain place when you do a 2K row. And either you've not been training or you're mentally not ready to do it, right? There's only them two factors that I've found when I've seen people do it, you know?
Yeah, and it's definitely one of those where you know there's the excitement that comes from at the very beginning, and then all the pain that comes at the end. But then there's that middle portion where there's just enough there that you kind of start getting lost mentally of like where am I going? Is there's a light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, 7 minutes for men is definitely a good goal of trying to push for. Um, Especially if you're brand new to rowing. Most of our rowers at Georgia Tech, this is like their first experience of what the sport is, and so it takes them a bit to get there. I usually try to push for it to like within the first year, depending on their size, or
Okay.
their year to get there.
Yeah.
Um, but
And are
yeah,
is that you trying to get them sub 7, or what does that sub
yeah,
7?
yeah,
Okay.
seven, yeah. Well, once again, also it depends on size. There is a factor of just what's your body weight, what's your height.
Mhm.
Those will benefit. You know, the taller you are, the more the distance you can get per stroke. Those are, you know, uh, advantages.
Yeah.
That's why we'll sometimes have lightweight categories to help kind of level some of the playing fields. But even still, I mean, there's folks that are lightweight rowers that start beating up on the non lightweights. Um, and so for us, it's always what we tell our rowers. It's or at least when we're trying to recruit on campus, is like we're looking for strong, tall, and strong and tall uh, individuals, or those that are mentally tough enough to make up the difference.
Mhm.
Uh, and to me, like that is a very big thing. Georgia Tech has um, historically been very strong in just that lightweight category. Um, a lot of our rowers just you know have spent so much time devoted to studying and getting into good schools that now there's like a focus of athletics and taking care of themselves and being that getting that joy of sport. Um, they start to thrive on those numbers, being able to progress themselves and
Yeah.
actually have smaller stature than some of the uh, bigger schools with recruits from high school that are just sometimes massive, like
Mhm.
tree trunks for legs.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Um, so how long have you been running the erg sprints now?
This will be my second year
Okay.
ahead of it.
Cool.
But even when I was a student, I would always help out, volunteer. Um, you know, the alumni are or the crew alumni are tend to be very tightly knit and try to also stay connected with the current students. And so a lot of the prior directors I'm in like constant contact with. And so it was great to hear their stories and their issues throughout their years. Um, yeah,
And why do you guys do it?
I think a lot of it is the experience.
Yeah.
It's I think you mentioned it. It's relatively simple, but there's a lot of that joy of this experience.
Mhm.
A lot of if you're thinking about this sport and even in most sports, you know, for us it's we throw people in boats and then they send them off to the starting line, which is so they disappear, and then they eventually come back down. We see the last few seconds of the race.
Right.
So this is that joy of one, we get to see the entire piece. We get to be right next to each other, and then you also get like the constant camaraderie of like the audience is right next to you the entire time. You get to see all the progressions from start to finish. Um, and we're also like, able to control, remove a lot of those variables like, wind, water conditions and whatnot, of just, all right, let's see how well we can do in
Mhm.
this nice clean
Yeah.
gym, with brand new equipment. And so that's, to me, I think that's just that, um, that experience.
Why do you open it to the public too? Like, because I mean, I'm lucky that we had somebody that was a collegiate rower that was coaching here, and wanted to do a rowing seminar, and then found the Erg Sprints, and we've then done it every year since. Like, I
Mhm.
think we've brought. There was one year where I think we had like 8 teams in the like Team 2K.
Mhm.
That was like right before COVID shut everything down, and I think it was like the only event of 2020 that we did, I think, because it
Mhm.
was like
It's just
January or
before the
February,
COVID.
right before everything closed down, and we were booming at that time. We had, yeah, I think we took like 8 or 9 teams, and we filled the lanes of the like Team 2K, and it was such a good opportunity for us because some people have never competed in anything, which, like you said, when you bring some of the rowers that, like you said, they focused on school, and then now this, and just to go somewhere where it's not going to take up your whole day. It's going to just be like 7, 8, 10 minutes. You get to compete, you get to see what you're capable of, you get to push yourself. And we've loved starting the year with it for the last, I think we only had a year off in 2021, maybe. And I think it came back in 22, did it? Or 23?
I think we
Did you
we
bring
were
it back?
off 21 and 22.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and then 23 actually, I think, was only the team.
Okay.
Only Georgia Tech did it for
Mm.
themselves. And then, 2024 was the first time back,
Okay, cool.
back to the public.
Yeah.
And yeah, to answer that question, I mean, it actually be like way more cost efficient if we did just keep it internal,
Yeah.
and only just collegiate, like other rowing programs. Um, but like that extra costs associated with opening it up, I think is just beneficial because there's, I mean, one, it's always a great experience. Also adds to the experience of seeing, OxFit with their like that blue show up, and like another, just that herd of blue. But
Yeah.
other clubs too, that being able to communicate, talk, and have that, uh, uh, just adds to the experience and kind of helps feed a lot of our rowers once they finish rowing. They may not never have a chance to be back in a boat, um, but like many of them stay in the area, and I'm sure they'll, look around at some of those clubs and see some of the names. There's a few other ones, CrossFit gyms that kind of pop in my brain that honestly I've probably only heard of because of Erg Sprints.
Right.
Um, so to me, like that's enjoyable. Um, and there's also the aspect of too. There are some rowers that are in the area that didn't go to Georgia Tech, don't have any affiliation with any gym or rowing club in the area, but they did elsewhere, and they don't necessarily need that affiliation to still show up and prove to themselves that they still got something in them.
Yeah.
So having that unaffiliated group as well is always enjoyable to see. And like many times, like those are the ones that kind of will sneak up and just, start taking medals.
That's cool.
So it's always fascinating to see them.
Yeah, that's fun. Well, I appreciate that you do that. I appreciate you do take the extra time because we love the event. And so we've got what, 1 month and like less than a month, about
Yeah, it's a month.
28 days, something like that. If I want to PR my 2K and I've only got 4 weeks to do it, what is your top maybe 2 or 3 things that I should be working on? And I'm not gonna row every day. Just in my training, maybe a couple of times a
That was
week.
easy answer right there. Just keep rowing every day. Get better. Yeah. So yeah, even if you're not gonna row any day, that's still fine. I mean, still staying active and like
Mhm.
still finding that heart rate. Try to get the heart rate within a range, whether that, any sort of workout of choice, whether it's running, biking, jumping up and down consistently.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's go
you know,
specifically on the row. Like what? So I'm gonna probably touch it this week, maybe 2 or 3 times. So what do I focus on when I'm on that? If I'm My fastest time that I've got recorded in our app is 7:40, but I think I was slightly quicker than that last year when I did the 2K. So I think I was somewhere in the 7:30s, maybe 7:20. So yeah, I've got a month. Give me just 2 or 3 things that I should focus on when I'm on that row.
On the erg. Yeah. One is when it comes to technique, the first thing that should start to burn is kind of those legs. And
Mm.
so trying to make sure at the start of each stroke you are engaging those legs, and the upper body is just hanging and minimizing some of that the smaller muscles. Who says, like, if you're trying to move an object, you don't want to use your tiny little muscles in the upper body. You want to use those legs. Those
Mhm.
are the ones that are going to help move objects. And so really establishing that and feeling those burn first throughout every piece really, really helps. The second is, as that heart rate starts to go up throughout any piece, gotta learn to relax and to exhale. So controlling that breathing, exhaling to get that lactic acid to be starting to relax and get out of your system by exhaling. And then for pieces, um, there's usually like that middle part that people start to break down, whatever length of the workout is, that middle portion, um, that is where you kind of start doubting, like, do I really need to finish this piece or not? That is the one where, like, you got to start digging a little deeper and start checking off your boxes of like what your technique should look like, and then let me start driving a little bit more throughout that middle piece. Um, 'Cause to me, I think very much it's a little bit of that mental portion, um, which it's kind of that love-hate relationship where uh, you know
Yeah.
you push and
So working on your form, making sure you deadlift and driving with them big muscles, right? Like squeezing them muscles and not. Do you see that a lot with people that are new to rowing? Is like they think it's all arms and you got to pull as hard as you can with your arms. And it's like,
yeah,
no, your arms are just there, just dangling. Okay.
yeah,
That's good. And
and that's
then,
not even how we talk about it when you go to row. Like you
yep.
move your arm, it's like, oh, it's a
Yeah. Yeah.
tiny thing. It's the
Right.
last portion of it, but
Yeah. And
um,
then kind of go into, you've got to go to that place a little bit, right? So over the next few weeks, like dig in, find the pain cave a little bit and see how long you can stay there. Cause that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to, when it gets hard, don't back off. Just
yeah.
keep leaning into it.
And
Yeah.
that helps with the game plan of understanding like where you're at right now. And so when you show up on game day, we're not looking for superheroes. Like go in with that game plan of where you already kind of assessed yourself throughout those coming weeks. And so once you have that goal, we usually try to do what's called negative splitting, where whatever your goal is, just start slightly slower than that.
Mhm.
Uh, Make sure to like relax and settle in at the very start, because like when you're hearing the crowd yell and stuff, your heart rate will naturally pop up and you'll start, oh wait, maybe I can go much faster now. It's like,
Yeah.
no, just relax, take a breath and really settle in slightly slower than when you're expected, and then that will help set you up to that good piece where you can then start pulling slightly faster each 500 meters, and let her know that if you have anything left in the tank, you can just start sprinting it out.
So
Um,
when do you start going? 500?
yeah, I've made mistakes of doing like 750
Yep.
left, but that's just slightly too long.
Mhm.
Um,
And then
when
when
I
you
think
get to
about it,
500, it's just everything you got. Just go.
yeah,
Don't even look at the splits anymore. Just go, right? Like,
yeah, I usually will have somebody sitting like behind you that's not doing the piece, and they can tell you when to stop or when you're done or whatever.
yep.
Um, but yeah, that's like I usually think like the last 90 seconds is usually the max of what you can kind of sprint with, so that you can adjust that to how fast you are going.
Mhm.
Um, and that's just like the anaerobic system can only sprint so much until the lactic acid becomes too much to deal with. So 90 seconds or a little less is what you have left.
Whew. Yep. Yeah, got me already a little nervous. I'm already got that little butterflies in my stomach. So yeah, it's a good thing.
Well, that's
So
good. It's
yeah.
good to
Oh,
have
I'm
that.
excited. I'm excited to do it again. The last year was the first time I'd done the 2K at the Erg Sprints. I'd always just gone and done the team and like kind of organized everything. But now we got a lot of coaches and other people run it. I'm like, yeah, I can go and do that. And then I did the 2K and then the team. So if you're if you're a rower in the area, or if you're new to it, kind of like what's your advice to people to do the Erg Sprints? Would you say find a team? Would you say try a 500? Would you say do the 2K? Like, where would you start if you're new to it?
Well, we're actually new this year. In the middle of the day, one, it's free just to show up, and you'll get a wristband. You don't have to pay anything. You just walk right up to the racing platform, and you can watch and observe. That's all free.
Mhm.
What we're doing new this year is probably sometime around lunchtime. We'll have a learn to row.
Oh,
Where
cool.
we let, if you're brand new, you don't if you're not even racing today, or you're just a parent watching your child,
Mm.
or your spouse watching your other spouse, you can just hop on the erg. We'll have some coaches and referees around to communicate what is kind of the generic way of rowing, and then just give you that feel of brand new racing erg. But yeah, so with when it comes to competing, if you've never done before, um, the barrier would try to make it as easy as possible, where you don't need to necessarily make a whole big showing of finding other people to do it with you. The races are mostly one-on-one, so you just can just show up as unaffiliated. You may need some like membership stuff with US Rowing, and just show up and show. Or I like to look around and talk with folks. And if you do have a few other groups with you, then there are gym passes they can do where you can go as a group. But for the most part, it's just show up and you can have fun whether you're racing or not.
Yeah, and if you've never done it before, what would you recommend? Would you do a 500? Would you do because you do have a 500, 1,000, and a 2K, right? Like as a beginner.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Usually, for like the money's worth, the 2K is there. But yeah, the 500 meters. I mean, that's usually like you're done with it like under 2 minutes for sure. It's
Right.
really close to like I think the fastest. Like, one of the guys that raced this year, or I guess last year, set a record. So we have like every year we'll keep track of prior years' times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the 500 meters is super quick. You hop on and you're usually done within a minute and a half or so.
What was the record last year on the 500?
I think it was. I don't remember his name. Matthew Snare.
Yeah.
I think he pulled maybe. I'm thinking 113.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
say 73 seconds.
So yeah, so if you're new, you could be done in a minute.
Yeah, that's what. Sounds fast. It is fast.
Yeah, that's huge. 113.
Yeah.
Wow, I can't even imagine seeing that on the screen that you were pulling something like that. So
his erg was moving a bunch. We had a ref stand behind us by the fan wheel, holding it in place for him because he was just cranking the crap out of it. So
that's cool. When we I got to tell you a story. When we came in 2019, I think it was at a CrossFit gym, I think. I can't remember the name of the gym because I don't think it's on the west side anymore.
Was that Robot Fitness, or I think it was a different CrossFit gym?
Yeah, but we were there, and we have it on a video. Like we did like a vlog of the day that we were there, and one of the guy that does our media challenged one of the Georgia Tech rowers to a 100-meter race right before we raced, and we did it in the warm-up area in the back, and it was great. It was so fast, and the Georgia Tech rower, I wish I knew his name, but yeah, the whole machine was moving. You know what I mean? And it was like, yeah, I think it was like a 13-second race or something like that, but they were going at it, and yeah, we were just having a little fun and talking a little shit. So, what is like the etiquette of being at a rowing competition? Are there any things that like you should do, you shouldn't do? Like when should you warm up? Like do you cheer for other teams? Like what is it? What is a rowing It's a regatta, right? Is that what
Yeah,
you call it?
usually if there's boats involved, it's called a regatta. For indoor, it's call it an indoor race or type
Okay.
of.
Yeah, yeah.
For indoor, it's there's you definitely just you can cheer for other teams.
Okay.
Usually both indoor and for outdoor races. One of the main things that we try to tell is like make sure you're not wearing other teams' stuff, especially since in uh, outdoor regattas, especially in the spring, they'll do things called bedding shirts, where uh, when you'll line up side by side and on a river or a lake, and you'll sprint, and whoever gets first will win T-shirts of their competitors, which have like all their competitors' logos and stuff. And so it's
Hmm.
usually a little disrespectful. You start like wearing their stuff, showing like, oh yeah, you beat
Yeah.
them. But I think it's a little bit different as you get older, where now it's like, okay, you're just helping promote the world of rowing,
Yeah.
but usually outside of regattas. Um, for yeah, I mean, there's definitely warm ups are usually you kind of have to listen to your own body of like when is the appropriate time to warm up, whether you want to do it too early or too late. Um, Usually, you want to try getting some stuff in before, like 30 minutes before.
Hmm.
Uh, they'll have should be plenty of ergs. A whole set of ergs that are just devoted to warming up. Um, and the etiquette for that is, if you're 15 minutes before your race, or if, you get some of those race ergs. We also try to devote at least 5 to 7 minutes on the erg you'll be racing on. You can warm up on that as well.
Hmm.
So you definitely don't have to freak out if like you don't get time on the erg and on a warm up erg. Um, and yeah, I mean, as for cheering on other folks, I mean, it's always fun to start yelling at people
Yeah.
and get them hyped
I
up.
mean, every time I've been, it's been a great atmosphere, like even though for some people, like it's their race day, right? I'm sure some people are really focused on wanting to do well at it, right? Like, do you use it as a measuring stick for the year for some of the guys? Like, are they trying to prove themselves or?
Yeah, no, so definitely. I mean, it's one where we have racing results back to um, easily back to 2009. I think we start getting
Mhm.
like paper forms prior to that. So we're able to, kind of see how each semester may have performed for the guys and how they then resulted in their spring, river races. Um, for some, it's also just the idea of um, being public about your performance. That will sometimes trigger other heart not being able to settle their heart rate.
Mhm.
They'll go out too hard. Those are all things that it takes practice to also perform on a race day. And so this is a lower stakes compared to some of the things that we'll do on the river. But
Right.
yeah, without a doubt, I mean, all the rowers for Georgia Tech will take it seriously and um, really try to get their personal bests on that day.
Yeah.
Um,
And then do they have fun with some of the events? Because there's some of the ones that like you want, like the team one. Is that
yeah,
just a fun thing or?
yeah. The relay
Yeah, the
is
relay.
definitely more,
Looking
yeah.
for.
That's also great for squad bonding, where that's why we try to make it like 2 men and 2 women.
Yep.
Um, Even like the 500-meter sprints, that's one where some folks they're very, very muscular. Like that's like their bread and butter.
Yeah.
Because like 2K is that standardized thing, but it doesn't always fit everyone, right?
Mhm.
And that's also why we try to push those off in the later day, where let them have that mindset of a goal like the standardized 2,000 meters, but then after some recovery, start having some fun with
Have some
those
fun.
later
Yeah.
pieces.
And then there used to be like a power hour or something like that too.
We're actually bringing that back this year.
Okay. Yeah.
There's one guy that I've heard is interested because he believes he can reset the Hammer Award. So uh, he would be taking that from Mark Larvey, who set the award back in 2020. Um, and so we'll see if he's interested and if he's capable of doing it. The dude's fast, and so we'll probably try to get some other people to row alongside and the women's record was also set by Brianna Prindle, I think same year, 2020. And so I'm always
And is
enjoying
that for distance? What is that for?
Yes. Yeah.
Distance.
How
Yeah. So
far can
distance
you
in an hour.
go in 1 hour?
And do you remember what it is, the record? No. No worries.
Yeah. I mean, I think he was pulling it was 150, a minute 50 seconds
Yeah,
per
for an
500
hour.
meters for an
Wow.
hour.
Okay.
Yeah. He
So
was a
yeah,
tank.
he's moving.
Yeah.
So you bringing that back? Is that to close the day again, or is that?
Yeah, we'll see. Depending on the entries, we may
Okay.
try to stagger it, or if there's not a lot of folks around, we may there is the ability that we can kind of have consent. What's the proper term? Have multiple races going off at once, so we may
Oh,
be able
cool.
to start that one off with its own separate ergs and its
And
own
you
computer.
buy all brand new rowers for this, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, brand new rowers that we get a discount from Concept 2, and they allow us to then resell them for the same day. But we just have to unbox them, set them up, race on them. So they'll only they're brand new ergs that have maybe 10,000 meters on them,
Yeah.
15,000 meters on them, and
And you sell them for what, 900 after the event? Is it something like that?
yeah, I think this year I think it's $915 plus tax. That's it's saving you $75 on the erg itself, plus usually there's $55 of shipping
Right.
per erg.
Yeah. So you say saving over $100.
Yeah.
That's cool. And so yeah, how many do you buy? How many did they ship to you?
We usually aim for 30, so we're gonna have 30 brand new ergs all across. But there's now we're trying to, that whole COVID lockdown. A lot of people bought a lot of equipment during that time for their own house and stuff, and so we're still trying to gauge what's the proper number to buy. So it may range between 20 and 30.
Okay.
I think one year we did buy almost 40 something. That was pre-COVID.
How many rows do you have as a team just to train on?
As a team, we have 18 or so.
And do you sometimes upgrade them this time of year if you
Yeah, so
out?
we bought a few last year for the team. But yeah, it is a little bit of struggles. There's 18 machines and there's 80 or so athletes.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to cycle them through our machine, do sessions or have them go on their own time to work out.
Yeah. Have you seen the new Rogue rower?
Yeah, you're talking about the one that's that's Rogue Fitness is rowing.
Yeah, they just released one. And I don't know if you've seen the Rogue Echo bike, but I think it's called the Rogue Echo rower. And I think it's a belt-driven rower. So just like they took the assault bike and made their Echo bike, and the Echo bike is built like a tank, And so the Rogue, I think it is the Echo rower.
I'll have to look it up. I always enjoy seeing the new equipment out there.
Yeah, I mean they've had and it's crazy actually. They're selling it for $100 cheaper than the Concept 2. Which they've had a deal with Concept 2 for years to sell rowers, so it's kind of wild to see it. But this is what it looks like if you can see this.
Yeah, I can. Those are some big wheels.
Right. Yeah. And it folds up a little bit better, which is good for garage gyms and stuff. But yeah, interesting. A new rower on the market that will probably be a good one because Concept 2 has been the best for a long time. All the ones I've been on that don't even compare. And the Concept 2s last forever. So
yeah, honestly, I have one that's a Model C, which means it was probably from it was over probably 2000 and I can't even think 2012 or something like that. It still rows well. All you do is change the handle from wood to the new plastic, and now it looks brand new.
Right, what company builds stuff like that? It's pretty rare, right? Most of them want it to break in 2 years, so you buy a new one. But Concept 2, they got some loyal customers because of what they do, I think. So you're selling them. Do you have still some for sale?
Yeah, we got a few left still.
Cool.
And we'll try to gauge it so that we run out just on the same day.
Yeah.
But
I think I'm gonna buy one, and then run a competition in February to have somebody win it. So that's the goal
nice.
anyway. So
That'll be fun.
want to take one from the event because that'd just be fun and cool, and then build excitement for people to try and win their own rower. Because I think it's a great tool to have in the house. You know.
It's full body workout. It's to me, I just leave mine in the garage, which is like not even heated, but I'll just warm up on it, and then
Yeah.
soaking wet and warm and perfectly fine. And so they're great.
Dude, well, thank you for taking time. Sorry I said 30 minutes, but I've enjoyed it. We've ran over a little bit, but
No problem.
thank you for running the event. We're excited. Hopefully we can get, a new record of athletes to come with us this year, because I feel like we're building momentum back still from that, pandemic, but we'll try and bring as many teams as we can. We'll try and we'll have some fun. So
Well, I appreciate it.
look
Thanks
forward
for
to
the
seeing you in a
invite.
month.
It's my first podcast, as
Well, you
starting
crushed it.
doing
Yeah.
something new for the new year.
Yeah, and if ever you want to come and teach us how to row, if ever you get some time on your schedule, we'll have to maybe set something up to building it up for next year, or do something cool with it for 2026 if you're still running it and still doing it. But
Yeah, no, definitely. Hey, you guys are pretty close. I think you're like maybe a 20-minute drive from where I am. So
yeah, and do you get jealous that you don't get to compete after running it all and putting it all on?
One, I enjoy seeing all their faces, both right before and right after the pieces. So that's always great to see all the rowers. And I don't know, maybe depending on the schedule, maybe I can just try to factor something in so I can hop on an erg. But
It's hard when you've been running around all day though to then
yeah,
jump in, isn't it?
I think it's one of those things where you kind of forget to eat as well throughout the day. So then it's
Yeah.
like you're won't be able to sustain yourself at all, right? So
Yeah. Every time we do an event at the gym, I try and do it, and I'm always in like the last heat. I've judged everybody. I've set up. You know what I mean? And it's just like,
them all, yeah.
all right, I'll just see what I got. Still don't want to miss it, So yeah, it's fun. All right, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Alec. Bye. Awesome. That was so great of Alec to join us, and we love this event every year. Caitlin is going to be running a rowing seminar on the 11th, so that's next Saturday, and then on the 25th. So building you up to the Erg Sprints. So if this is something you want to do, we will help you figure out how to do it. We'll put you on a team, so you don't have to do it alone. If you want to do the 2K, if you want to do the 500, if you want to do the 1K, then let us know, and we'll help you out signing up for that. But yeah, this is a great way to start the year. Like I said, the longest you're going to do is 10 minutes. The shortest you're going to do is 2 minutes if you're on a team, and get you outside your comfort zone. If you've never done something like this, what a way to start it off. We'll do it as a team. We'll go and compete a little bit with the Georgia Tech students, and it's a great environment and it's good fun. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Happy 2025. If you haven't set up a goal setting session with one of our coaches yet, make sure you do that. And I'll see you in the gym. 2025. We're off to a flying start. Our programming video comes out at noon, so look out for that. Go get it.